How's it going, everybody? Today we are going to install a new 5.8 kilogram spring on the 450rl. Stock comes with 5.3. I'm about 190 pounds, so we're going with the bigger spring. Let's get going. Okay, so here's the spring I went with. This is the Racetech, made in USA. There's the part number. Use their spring calculator, spring rate calculator, to figure out that I needed a 5.8. It's nice and blue. When we get the old spring out, we'll put them side by side to compare. Should be fairly easy. I think we're gonna take it out the bottom. I'm gonna take my skid plate off, take the two shock linkages off, and there's the two preload clips up there. We're gonna loosen up those all the way so we can get a little bit more play in the spring. We'll see if we can take it off or if we need to compress the spring at all to get off the clip. But I think the clip's right up there above that, but we'll take it off and have a look. Here we are on the left side of the bike. I have all my emissions, smog stuff removed, and it makes it a lot easier working on the shock. But you can see I got that top preload ring undone. Now we're gonna do the bottom one. I'm using you can use like a flathead screwdriver. I have aluminum rod. Just a little bit easier, not gonna scratch any of the steel parts, and just a little hammer, kind of hammer away at it. And for the bottom ring, you can just hammer away at that, or you can just twist the whole spring, and that'll loosen it up too. So now you can see I spun that preload ring pretty much all the way up to the top, and you can see there's already almost enough slack in the spring where there's no tension on the spring, so I can remove it easily from the bottom without having to preload anything. So that's nice. So I couldn't get enough slack to get the ring off, so what I have here is just like a strap. I have an NRS strap from you can go from your subframe, or I have it from my rear rack down to the swing arm to compress the suspension, kind of push down on the suspension and get it locked in so the spring's compressed. And then I have a couple heavy duty zip ties I put on there it'll hopefully keep the spring compressed enough where I can get that bottom ring off. So let's see if this works. I ended up putting 4 heavy duty zip ties on here. 2 of them was not strong enough, those broke. 4 seems to be holding, but be careful when the spring's under tension, because if those break and your finger's in a pinch point, that could be an issue. But you can see now we got the springs nice and loose. Got that aluminum spring holder off, and now we just need to take that clip off and the spring should fall out. Here's the 2 springs side by side. Not a whole lot of difference visually. And then I'm gonna use some clamps like that to just compress it down a ½ inch or so, whatever I need to get that clip back on. You could use, other types of clamps too, something like that. Any way to compress it a little bit. And then I'm gonna put 4 heavy duty zip ties back on it, get her installed. How goes the ring? Oops, it got stuck on the zip tie. There we go. Make sure it's seated all the way around. Alright. Looks like it's sitting on there now. Everything's nice and seated. So now I can get her all hooked back up and cut those zip ties and then set the preload and sag. Okay, so we got it all installed. Went from a 5.3 to a 5.8 spring. It definitely has way less preload now that I have the right spring on there. Let's see, I got the race sag all set with the bike in the stand. I measured from point to point. I was getting about 590, and then with me sitting on it I was getting about 490, so that's about 100 millimeter race sag, and they say you can go from 99 to like 115, so I think that'll make it handle a little sharper. That's what I'm looking for. Got to play around with the high-low speed compression and all that stuff and figure the rest of that out, but I need to get her out on the trail and see how I like it. Overall, pretty easy install. I could do it a lot faster next time. Any questions on the install, let me know.